Well, throughout this debate, we've been hearing different voices from within the Conservative, those who are loyal to the Prime Minister and those who have lost the confidence in him. I'm joined in the studio now by Conservative MP Richard Fuller, who backed Boris Johnson last night. Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
He can't survive this in the long term, can he?
Yes, of course he can. And he can do that by focusing on the millions of people who in the last election, some for the very first time, put their X next to the Conservative name because of Boris Johnson. All those people who, when they look at the elite of this country, know there's only one person that they can trust to be on their side. Now, the Prime Minister can't always guarantee he's got their support, but he needs to focus on their interests. And that way, yes, he can survive and he can win the next election.
What do you say to Lord Hague, William Hague, your former party leader? It's like Prime Minister driving with two flat tyres.
I don't know when Lord Hague was driving down the M1 on a car with two flat tyres. I've never done that. But, you know, I think if his metaphor is the Prime Minister is in that situation, I would say, stop the car, change a couple of tyres, Prime Minister, and carry on. And that, to me, is another part of what's important. The Prime Minister's got to be much more focused. He's doing lots and lots of really good things, but that clarity about what the real rationale of this government is about has been, I think, knocked a bit sideways by COVID. Quite rightly, we did lots of things that perhaps weren't originally the focus. He has now got to focus. He's got to make some hard choices in doing that, particularly around public spending, and get back to the principles and the priorities which were in the manifesto in 2019.
The rebels will come for him again if those two by-elections are lost, surely?
Well, I thought it was. I'd rather, compared to your Mr. McCaffrey, I thought that Angela Leadsom was actually quite permissive about the support for the Prime Minister. We need to move on. I think she's absolutely right about that. I lived in Australia for a while, and Australia they call these leadership spills. And Australia got in the habit of doing these every 3 months, really, and it's very debilitating for leadership. And so what I'd say to my Conservative colleagues is learn that Australian lesson, but also learn our own lesson. That you can be masters of your own future, your own destiny. We have a significant majority. We've still got more than 2 years, till the next election needs to be called. Let's get delivering behind those priorities. That's what we should be focusing on. The public don't like divided parties, so don't be divided.
OK, you have hot-footed it
Yes.
to us from a debate that you have just led in Parliament, which lots of our viewers will be interested in. It was a debate on GPs. Just tell us, because in these debates you put your case to the minister responsible. Yeah. What is it that you wanted to say?
So I've spent the last 6 months talking to GPs because I wanted to do it right at the start, but COVID came in, and my real priority was there's been so much housing development across my constituency, from Arlesey and Stotfold in the south, through Biggleswade up to Potton Sandy, and even in the north of my constituency. And in fact, the minister today, in her constituency list, she had similar issues. But it's also because of coming out of COVID, and we've had so much in our mailbags, all MPs from constituents said, I just can't get through on the phone. It's really, very debilitating to be asked to do the same. Phone, can't get through. Try again tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So talking to GPs, there were some clear issues that came out. The choice of phone system, something as simple as that could make a big difference about whether people feel comfortable with the service they get. The way in which a practice manager, that human contact, often we had people who couldn't get through, they came to the practice, they couldn't be let in. The way that situation was handled was really rather important. But also we need to do more to get GPs in and to make people happy. Sometimes you may not see a GP, you might see a paramedic. We went through all these topics and more with the minister today, and I was really rather pleased by her response.
Some people would say, your critics would say, that the shortage of GPs, which it was one of your points, has happened under your watch. Jeremy Hunt, when he was Health Secretary, has been in the news lately for other reasons. He pledged to increase the number of GPs by, a number of thousand, but the number of GPs has actually fallen.
It has, and more worrying, in my constituency, and actually the number of GPs has got about 2%. The years I was looking at was 2014 to 2022, because that's the longest coherent data set that you can get from the NHS. In that period, the number of GPs have gone up 2%, but the number of GP partners, which is what maybe has gone down by about 20%.
Right.
It's actually been
GP partners, just put that in normal.
So a GP partner, there are 3 levels of you can be a GP, broadly speaking. I think it's probably a 4th, but there can be a locum. That GP comes in and decides the hours she or he wishes to work, and the practice can hire them for those hours. There's then a GP who is salaried, and he or she essentially works, and I'll say 9 to 5, I'm sure they work longer hours than that, but that is their duty, is to do those hours. And then a GP partner essentially is where they run the business of being a GP. So they might be responsible in addition for seeing patients, for making sure that the payroll is sorted out at the end of the month, for HR issues, for sorting out contracts for premises, etc. It's like running your own business. And that's the bit which I was saying to the Minister today. Those GP partners, they're not getting that additional remuneration. In fact, you're better off not doing those extra hours and extra work as a partner, or even doing all hours of the week. You get paid more per hour if you pick and choose your hours as a locum. That's the wrong way around. And the government needs to look at the reward systems for GPs so that they can reinforce the model they want. If the government wants to say, we like partner GPs, which I think is great. I love entrepreneurs. I love people who have that want to go that extra yard. If they want to do that, they've got to look at the remuneration systems. The Minister made the point, it's not all in her control, and she's right. There's some legacy issues, but it does need attention.
So lots of people will be pleased that you are campaigning
Yes.
on this. For those struggling at the moment to get a GP appointment, or one that's face-to-face,
Yes.
how much longer will it be going on for? When are you going to get your way? When's it going to be improved?
Well, I think some of it is sort of improving because we've come out of that COVID period, which was a tremendous pinch point, with lots of people had anxieties, and we've discovered lots of things where people hadn't come forward and they were at later stages of diagnoses. So even from my own postbag, I can see that it's getting a little bit better. But the numbers have got to move faster, and it's not just GPs. And again, the Minister today, she was very clear that it's the paramedics, it's the nurse practitioners, it is the other direct patient care. You can go and see other people when you're in primary care. So yes, we need to increase the number of GPs. The government's working on that, but you're right, they're not moving fast enough. But on that other area, good progress is being made. We've got to learn that sometimes the best answer when you make the call is not to see your GP, it might be to see another qualified medical professional.
Final question.
Yes.
Yes or no? Is Boris Johnson going to lead you into the next election?
Yes.
Perfectly simple answer. Thank you very much
Thank
indeed
you.
for coming in to chat to us straight from that debate. Thank you, Richard Fuller.
You.